The day Leonardo handed me the keys to our old Victorian house, he smirked and said, "Consider it a parting gift, darling, your very own financial coffin. I'm Serena, and this is how I turn my ex-husband's spite into the sweetest revenge I never knew I needed." The keys felt cold in my palm as I stood in the lawyer's office, watching Leonardo swagger out with his designer briefcase and his new girlfriend waiting in his Tesla. 6 years of marriage dissolved in a handful of signatures, and all I had to show for it was a deteriorating money pit that even the local historical society had given up on. "Are you sure about this arrangement?" My lawyer touched my arm gently. "We could still contest." "No," I said, straightening my shoulders. "I'm done fighting. Let him keep the accounts." That weekend, my family hosted their monthly barbecue. I almost didn't go, but my brother Reed insisted. "You can't hide forever," he said, helping me out of his truck. "Besides, I'll run interference. I should have known better." The moment I stepped into Aunt George's backyard, the whispers started. Like moths to a flame, relatives clustered in small groups, their voices dropping to concerned murmurs as I passed. "Did you hear about the settlement?" "Such a shame. That house is absolutely worthless." I grabbed a paper plate and loaded it with potato salad I knew I wouldn't eat. Reed squeezed my shoulder and went to grab us drinks, leaving me temporarily exposed. That's when Trisha struck. "Serena, there you are." My cousin's voice dripped with artificial sweetness. She air-kissed my cheeks, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the sunlight. "We've all been so worried about you." "I'm fine, Trisha. Really." "Of course you are," she said, adjusting her designer sunglasses. "Though I have to ask, are you actually living in that house?" Before I could answer, her husband Derek joined us, beer in hand. "The Victorian? God, that place should be condemned. Leonardo really got you good with that one." I forced a smile. "It has potential." Trisha laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Potential for what? A haunted house attraction?" She turned to the growing crowd of relatives. "Remember when we were kids and used to dare each other to knock on that door? We were convinced it was haunted. At least it's shelter," Aunt Georgia chimed in, patting my arm with pity. "Though you really should consider selling it for land value, dear. Start fresh." "And do what?" Trisha asked. "She has no career, no savings." She looked me up and down. "The truth is, Serena, you've never earned anything in your life. Everything was handed to you by Leonardo. And look how that turned out. The yard went quiet. Even the kids stopped playing, sensing the tension. Reed appeared at my side, but I held up a hand to stop him. Something inside me shifted. 6 years of being told I wasn't enough. 6 years of Leonardo managing our finances because I couldn't handle it. 6 years of Trisha's backhanded comments about my choices. I reached into my purse and pulled out the stack of elegant cream-colored cards I'd been debating whether to distribute. "Actually," I said, my voice steady, "I'm hosting an open house next Saturday. You're all invited." Trisha snorted. "An open house? For that dump?" I handed her a card first, watching her perfectly manicured nails close around it. 4 to 7 p.m. Don't be late. "Is this some kind of joke?" Derek peered over his wife's shoulder at the invitation. "Not at all." I started distributing cards to everyone in the yard. I think it's time my family saw exactly what I'm capable of. "Capable of what?" Trisha called after me as I walked away. "Giving tours of a disaster zone?" I turned back, meeting her eyes. "You know what they say about assumptions, cousin. They make an ass out of you and me." I paused. "Well, mostly you." Reed followed me to his truck, trying to hide his grin. "You realize they're all going to show up just to see you fail, right?" I buckled my seatbelt and looked at the invitation in my hand. The letterpress printing had cost a fortune, but it was worth it. "That's exactly what I'm counting on." As we pulled away from Aunt George's house, I could see them all still standing in the yard, invitations in hand, whispering amongst themselves. Tricia's voice carried across the lawn. "She's delusional. That house is worth nothing. I smiled to myself, thinking of the secrets hidden behind those Victorian walls. They had no idea what I'd been up to for the past 3 months. No idea at all. You sure about this? Reed asked as we turned onto the main road. I touched the house key hanging from my neck. My albatross turned ammunition. Some people need to learn the hard way that rock bottom is just a foundation waiting to be built on. And I was about to show them exactly how high I could build. 3 months earlier, I stood in what was supposed to be my living room, surrounded by gutted walls and the musty smell of neglect. YouTube played on my phone, propped against a paint can. DIY Home Renovation Basics, Episode 1. First, we need to assess the damage, the cheerful host announced. I paused the video and looked around. Damage was an understatement. The Victorians' bones were solid, but decades of neglect had turned it into exactly what Trisha called it, a disaster zone. The doorbell rang, making me jump. It was Reed, carrying a large toolbox. Housewarming gift, he said, setting it down, though house freezing might be more accurate. It's like an icebox in here. The heating's shot, I admitted, hugging myself, and the insulation's practically non-existent. Reed walked the perimeter of the room, tapping walls and checking corners. You know, I could help you sell this place. I know some developers who— No. I picked up a crowbar. Leonardo gave me this house thinking it would break me. I'm not giving him the satisfaction. Okay, crazy lady. Reed grabbed another crowbar. Where do we start? We spent that weekend tearing out rotted drywall and pulling up warped floorboards. Every swing of the crowbar felt like therapy. Every crashed piece of damaged wood like revenge. By Monday, my arms ached, but I had a plan. My freelance copywriting job could be done anywhere with Wi-Fi, so I set up a makeshift office in the kitchen, the only room with somewhat reliable electricity. During the day, I wrote marketing content for clients. At night, I became a student of home renovation. The key to insulation, my YouTube mentor explained, is proper installation. Any gaps can reduce efficiency by up to 25%. I learned about R values and vapor barriers, about the difference between fiberglass and spray foam, about how to wear a proper respirator mask, and why you should never skimp on safety equipment. The first real test came when I discovered black mold behind the bathroom walls. I sat on the stairs that night, covered in dust, and called Reed in tears. I can't afford a remediation service, I sobbed. This is going to bankrupt me. How much is in your emergency fund? $8,000. But that's everything I have left after Leonardo. Use it, Reed said firmly. You can't live with black mold, S. So I did. I hired professionals for the mold and learned everything else I could on my own. YouTube became my professor. Home improvement stores my campus. I worked 14-hour days, writing until my fingers cramped, then switching to power tools until my shoulders burned. One evening, as I was finishing laying new subfloor in the dining room, someone knocked on the front door. I opened it to find a tall man in a suit looking confused. I'm sorry, he said, checking his phone. I must have the wrong address. I'm looking for the Victorian on Maple Street that's supposedly for sale. This is Maple Street, but the house isn't for sale. He looked up, surprised. I'm Everett Armstrong, local realtor. I could have sworn— He peered past me, his eyes widening. Wait, are you renovating? Trying to. I stepped back, letting him see the progress, though some days it feels more like archaeology. Everett walked in, his professional demeanor giving way to genuine interest. He studied the new subfloor, the freshly framed walls, the carefully preserved original molding I'd spent weeks restoring. You did all this yourself? I nodded. Mind if I look around? For the next 20 minutes, Everett explored every room, asking questions about my plans, nodding at my choices. Finally, he returned to the living room, where I waited nervously. Do you have any idea, he said slowly, what this place could be worth, if done right? I shook my head. He pulled out a business card. When you're ready to sell, And I mean really ready. Call me. This isn't just a renovation. This is a resurrection. After he left, I sat on my newly installed subfloor, turning his card over in my hands. Selling hadn't been part of my plan. This was supposed to be about proving I could make something of this financial coffin. But as I looked around at what I'd already accomplished, at the elegant bones of the house emerging from beneath years of neglect, a new idea began to form. One that made me think of Trisha's sneering face at family gatherings, of Leonardo's smirk when he handed over the keys. I pulled out my phone and started a new note, open house timeline. At the top, I wrote a target date, 3 months out. Below that, I listed everything left to do: kitchen renovation, bathroom updates, refinish hardwood floors, repair original windows, landscape the yard. It was ambitious, possibly insane. But as I stood there in my paint-stained overalls, surrounded by the evidence of everything I'd already achieved, I knew one thing for certain. The best revenge wouldn't be just living well. It would be succeeding spectacularly, right in front of their doubting eyes. I picked up my hammer. Time to get back to work. Have you seen Serena lately? Aunt Georgia's voice carried through the church hall after Sunday service. I hear she's still living in that dreadful house. I pretended to be absorbed in the coffee and donuts table, but kept my ears tuned to their conversation. Poor thing probably can't afford anything else, Trisha replied loudly enough to ensure I'd hear. I drove by there last week. It looks exactly the same from the outside, like something from a horror movie. Of course it did. I deliberately left the exterior untouched, letting the peeling paint and overgrown yard serve as camouflage for what was happening inside. Let them think nothing had changed. Let them believe I was drowning. Amy, Trisha's younger sister, approached me with an apologetic smile. Don't listen to them. How are you really doing? I'm surviving. I sipped my coffee, hiding my smile. How's the real estate market? I heard you got your license. It's crazy right now. Houses in this area are selling for insane prices. She lowered her voice. If you ever want to list your place, thanks, but I'm managing. Are you? Tricia appeared beside us, designer purse swinging. Because I just bought an investment property up in Lake Grove. 3 bedrooms, completely updated. Already have renters lined up. She paused for effect. That's how you build wealth, you know, not by squatting in a crack house inheritance. I thought about my newly installed heated tile floors, the custom kitchen cabinets being delivered next week, the antique chandelier I'd restored to its original glory. Everyone has their own path, Tricia. Speaking of paths, Aunt Georgia joined us. Have you considered going back to school? Getting some real skills? I had to bite back a laugh, thinking of the electrical wiring I'd mastered, the plumbing I'd repaired, the walls I'd rebuilt. I'm learning plenty right now. Learning how to live in squalor doesn't count, Tricia snickered. My phone buzzed. A real estate alert. I opened it casually, making sure Tricia could see the screen. A nearby Victorian, half the size of mine and in worse condition, had just sold for $495,000. Isn't that near you? Amy asked, peering at my phone. Same street. I pulled up Everett's contact. Excuse me. I need to make a call. I stepped outside, aware of their eyes following me. Once alone, I texted Everett, "Let's talk price strategy." His response was immediate. Finally. Come by the office tomorrow? That evening, I worked late installing crown molding in the master bedroom. My hands were steady, each cut precise. 3 months of renovation had transformed not just the house, but me. My arms were stronger, my confidence solid as the new foundation under the kitchen. The doorbell rang around 8. It was Reed, carrying takeout. Thought you might need dinner, he said, then whistled as he looked around. Holy shit, S. This place is unreal. I led him through the house, showing him the progress since his last visit. The original hardwood floors now gleamed like honey. The kitchen was a chef's dream, waiting only for its finishing touches. Every bathroom sparkled with vintage-inspired tile work I'd laid myself. "I can't believe you did all this," he said, shaking his head. "Does anyone else in the family know?" "Not yet." I unpacked the Chinese food. "But they will. Trisha's going to lose her mind." "That's the plan." I told him about the open house timeline, about Everett's involvement, about the comparable sale down the street. Reed let out a low whistle. "You're really going to sell it? I thought this was your revenge renovation." "It is." I picked up my chopsticks. "But revenge doesn't pay bills. Besides, selling it for triple what Leonardo thought it was worth, that's the ultimate payback." "Speaking of Leonardo," Reed said carefully, "he was asking about you at his gym. Heard rumors about construction noise coming from the house." "Let him wonder." I smiled. "He'll find out with everyone else." My phone buzzed again. Another real estate alert. This time, a Victorian in even worse condition than mine had sold for $500 to $25,000. "Reed," I said slowly, "I think I need to aim higher." "Higher than what?" "Everett suggested listing at $650,000. But with these comps," I pulled up my renovation photos, scrolling through this before and after shots. "I've done way more than these other properties." "Do it," Reed said firmly. "Shoot for the moon. Make them all choke on their assumptions." Later that night, after Reed left, I walked through my almost finished masterpiece. Every room held memories of late nights, YouTube tutorials, and determination born of spite. But it had become more than revenge. It was proof of what I could do when people underestimated me. I opened my laptop and emailed Everett. "New plan. Let's discuss a starting price of $750,000. His response came minutes later. "Bold. I love it. See you tomorrow." I closed my laptop and smiled at my reflection in the newly installed vintage mirror. Trisha's voice echoed in my head. "That's how you build wealth." No, dear cousin. This is how you build wealth. One nail, one tile, one perfectly restored room at a time. The crack in the foundation stopped me cold. I was installing baseboards in the living room when I noticed it. A hairline fracture spreading like a spider web across the concrete. "It's structural," the contractor confirmed, kneeling to examine it. "You're looking at minimum $20,000 to fix it properly." $20,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. I'd spent my emergency fund on the mold remediation. My credit cards were maxed from materials. The open house was 3 weeks away. As soon as the contractor left, I called Everett. "We need to cancel," I said, my voice shaking. "The foundation." "Breathe," he interrupted. "Tell me exactly what they found." I explained the situation, trying to keep my voice steady. "I can't afford this, Everett. I'm done. Meet me for coffee in 20 minutes. The local cafe was quiet for a Tuesday afternoon. Everett was already there when I arrived, laptop open, spreadsheets displayed. "Look at these comps," he said before I could even sit down. 3 similar Victorians sold in the last month. All needed major work. All sold above asking. But the market is insane right now. People are fighting over historic properties. He turned the laptop toward me. "Your renovation work is superior to anything I've seen lately. Even with the foundation issues, we're still in a strong position." I stared at the numbers, remembering Leonardo's voice. "You've never understood finance, darling. Leave the money decisions to me." "I can't take out a loan," I said quietly. "Leonardo destroyed my credit during the divorce." "Then we get creative." Everett pulled out a notepad. "What assets do you have left?" I laughed bitterly. "Besides this money pit? Nothing." "Nothing?" He raised an eyebrow. "What about that collection of vintage furniture in your garage?" I'd forgotten about those pieces, antiques I'd been saving to stage the house. "They're worth maybe $5,000 total." "That's a start. What else?" By the end of our coffee, we had a plan. I would sell the furniture, my rarely used car, and some jewelry Leonardo had given me during better times. Reed offered to loan me the remaining amount. "It's an investment," he insisted when I protested. "I trust you." That night, I worked until dawn, carefully documenting every inch of the foundation damage for the repair team. My hands shook as I took photos, but not from exhaustion. "You're too emotional," Leonardo used to say whenever I questioned his financial decisions. "This is why you can't handle money." The memory made me grip my camera tighter. The same man who drained our savings for risky investments, who'd hidden credit card debt until it was too late, had convinced me I was the financial liability. The repair team arrived at sunrise. For the next week, I barely slept, supervising the foundation work while continuing my own renovations. Every spare minute was spent listing furniture online, negotiating with buyers, arranging pickups. "You look terrible," Reed said, bringing me coffee one morning. "When's the last time you ate?" "I'm fine." I was installing reclaimed tile in the guest bathroom, each piece a fraction of the cost of new tile, but twice the work to install. "I have to finish this today." He took the trowel from my hands. "Talk to me." I sat back on my heels, suddenly exhausted. What if they're right? What if I'm in over my head? "Who? Trisha? Leonardo?" Reed scoffed. "Look around you. Look what you've already done." "But the foundation is getting fixed, and you found a way to pay for it, didn't you? Without anyone's help except mine." He helped me up. "That's what they never understood about you. You don't just survive obstacles, you transform them." The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of contractors, final touches, and endless details. I sold my car and took Ubers to pick up supplies. I worked through the night, installing light fixtures and touching up paint. Every decision, every dollar, every minute was focused on one goal. The day before the inspection, Everett stopped by to check the progress. "Incredible," he said, walking through the house. "Simply incredible." He paused in the newly restored entryway. "You know, I have 3 buyers already interested. Sight unseen." "Really?" He nodded. "Based on the photos alone, they're ready to bid. With the right strategy, we could start a bidding war." "How much?" "With just one buyer, you could clear $700,000. But with 3 competing," he smiled, "the sky's the limit." That night, I stood in my finished masterpiece, running my hands along the smooth walls, feeling the solid foundation beneath my feet. Every inch of this house had been touched by my determination, my learning, my refusal to accept failure. My phone buzzed, a text from Trisha. "Heard you're still doing that open house thing. Hope you at least cleaned the place up." I smiled, thinking of the surprise waiting for her and the rest of my doubting family. They thought they were coming to witness my humiliation. Instead, they were about to attend my coronation. The day before the open house, Aunt Georgia hosted another family barbecue. This time, I arrived early, wearing my paint-stained work clothes on purpose. "Oh, sweetie," Aunt Georgia tisked, opening the door. "You could have changed first." "Been too busy working," I said cheerfully, heading to the backyard where the family was gathering. Trisha was holding court near the grill, showing off photos of her new lake house on her phone. "The property values up there are insane. We'll double our investment in 5 years. Easy." "Speaking of investments," Derek called out as I passed, "how's that haunted house of yours, Serena? Still standing?" "Barely," I said, loading my plate with the food. "You'll see for yourself tomorrow." "Oh, you're really going through with that?" Trisha laughed. "I thought you were joking." "Nope. 4 to 7 p.m. Don't forget to wear shoes you don't mind getting dirty." Amy approached, looking concerned. "Serena, I know you're trying to be brave, but maybe it's time to be realistic. I could list it as a tear down." "Thanks, Amy, but I've got it covered." "Covered in what? Mold?" Trisha snorted. "God, you're still so delusional. Just like when you thought Leonardo actually loved you." The yard went quiet. Even Aunt Georgia looked uncomfortable. "Trisha," Amy warned. "No, let's be honest here." Trisha set down her wine glass. "You've been playing house flipper for what? 3 months? With no experience, no skills, no money? She turned to the gathered family. Remember when she tried to start that online business? Or that time she thought she could be a wedding planner? I remember, I said calmly. Just like I remember who sabotaged my first client meeting. Trisha flushed. I did you a favor. You would have failed anyway. Maybe. I took a bite of potato salad. But at least I tried. Tried and failed. Like always. Trisha stepped closer. My God, you still live in that ruin. You didn't earn it. Just like you didn't earn your marriage. Or your freedom, apparently. Trisha, Aunt Georgia finally intervened. That's enough. No, let her finish, I said, setting down my plate. I want to hear exactly what she thinks about my life choices. Fine. Trisha crossed her arms. I think you're pathetic. I think you're living in denial. I think that house is a perfect metaphor for your life. Broken, worthless, and beyond repair. I reached into my back pocket and pulled out my phone. Interesting perspective. Want to see some photos of what pathetic looks like? What? From the house. I've been documenting everything. I held up my phone, but didn't unlock it. But you know what? Why spoil the surprise? Come tomorrow. See it in person. Why would I waste my time? Because, I smiled, I want you to be there when the offers come in. Derek laughed. Offers? For that dump? You'd be surprised what proper renovation can do for property value. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Trisha? Wear something nice. There will be photographers. Photographers? Amy perked up. For what? You'll see. I headed for the gate, then turned back one last time. By the way, how much did you pay for that lake house? $450? $500,000, Trisha said proudly. A steal in this market. Interesting. I unlocked my phone and pulled up Everett's latest message. Good to know. Reed followed me to my Uber. That was cruel, he said, but he was grinning. Cruel would be showing her the pre-qualified buyers list now. I showed him my phone. Everett's message displaying 3 potential buyers, all ready to bid well over asking price. She's going to lose her mind tomorrow. That's the plan. I hugged him. You're coming early to help set up, right? Wouldn't miss it for the world. As the Uber pulled away, I caught a glimpse of Trisha in heated discussion with Derek, gesturing at her phone. Probably trying to look up property records, searching for permits, anything to prove I was bluffing. Let her search. Let her stew. Let her spend the night wondering what waited behind those weathered Victorian walls. My phone buzzed. Another text from Everett. Final inspection passed. We're good to go. By the way, 4th buyer just called. Very motivated. I texted back. Perfect. Let's give them all a show they'll never forget. Back at the house, I walked through each room one final time. Tomorrow, these spaces would be filled with people. Real estate agents, potential buyers, and my dear doubting family. They'd see the restored hardwood floors gleaming like glass, the custom kitchen with its marble countertops, the handcrafted tile work I'd laid piece by piece. But more than that, they'd see what I'd become, what I'd built from the ruins of my marriage, my confidence, my life. I touched the wall of the entryway, feeling the smooth, perfect finish under my fingers. Ready or not, I whispered to the house, tomorrow we show them exactly what we're worth. And it would be worth far more than any lake house Trisha could ever buy. At precisely 3:55 p.m., I heard Trisha's Mercedes pull up outside, right on schedule. She'd want to be first, to get her criticisms ready before everyone else arrived. Oh my God, I heard her say to Derek. She actually painted it. The Victorian's exterior now gleamed in historic slate blue with cream trim, the wraparound porch restored to its original glory. Fresh landscaping lined the brick pathway to the front door. I smoothed my black cocktail dress and opened the door before they could knock. Welcome to my ruin, I said sweetly. Trisha's jaw dropped. Behind her, Derek actually stumbled on the porch steps. The entryway glowed with restored hardwood floors and period-appropriate wallpaper. A crystal chandelier, the one I'd spent weeks restoring, cast rainbow prisms across the walls. The original staircase curved upward, its banister gleaming with hand-rubbed oil. This is impossible, Trisha whispered. The living room is through here, I gestured, enjoying her stunned expression. Watch your step on the heated marble floors. More cars were pulling up outside. I could hear exclamations of surprise, the clicks of camera phones. Reed was greeting people on the porch, handling the initial shock reactions. Serena? Amy's voice trembled as she entered. This is incredible. Thank you. I led them through to the kitchen. The cabinets are custom maple. All the appliances are smart-enabled. But how? Trisha spun in place, taking in the waterfall quartz countertops, the professional grade range, the butler's pantry with its wine fridge. How did you afford this? I didn't just write checks, if that's what you mean. I ran my hand along the countertop I'd installed myself. I did most of the work personally. Every tile, every cabinet, every finish. Aunt Georgia appeared in the doorway, her face pale. You did this yourself? YouTube is an excellent teacher. The house filled quickly. Family members, neighbors, and serious buyers with their realtors. Everett worked the crowd professionally, highlighting features I'd strategically incorporated. The original crown molding, the restored pocket doors, the modern amenities hidden behind historic charm. The primary suite is upstairs, I announced to the group. It includes a custom bathroom and walk-in closet. As people climbed the stairs, I heard Trisha hiss to Derek, call Marcus, find out what he knows about property values on this street. I smiled, leading the tour into my masterpiece, the primary bathroom with its claw-foot tub, heated floors, and custom tile work that had taken me 3 weeks to complete. The tile pattern is original to the period, I explained to the amazed group. I recreated it by hand. This is magazine-worthy, one of the realtors said, snapping photos. Speaking of magazines, Everett appeared at my elbow. The photographer from Architectural Digest is here. Architectural Digest? Trisha's voice cracked. You're joking. They're doing a feature on historic renovations, I said. They seem particularly interested in the before and after photos. We continued the tour. 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, office space, media room, and a finished basement with a wine cellar. Every room told the story of countless hours of work, of skills learned, of determination fueled by spite. I need air, Trisha muttered, heading for the back patio. But even there she couldn't escape. The patio I'd laid myself opened onto professionally landscaped gardens. The outdoor kitchen gleamed with high-end appliances. String lights twinkled overhead in the early evening light. Serena, Everett touched my arm. We need to talk offers. I followed him to the kitchen where 3 realtors waited with their buyers. Trisha trailed behind, trying to appear disinterested. We have a confirmed offer, Everett said loudly enough for everyone to hear. $749,000. Cash. Close in 10 days. The room went silent. That's impossible, Trisha stammered. The lake house only cost $500,000. Yes, I remember. I turned to Everett. Are there other offers? 2 more coming in, both over asking. Aunt Georgia sank into one of the kitchen chairs. Over asking? But it would mean, I said quietly, that this worthless house is now worth more than any other property in the family, including your lake house, Trisha. Any idiot can flip a house, she snapped, but her voice shook. Any idiot can inherit one, I corrected. It takes something else entirely to rebuild. The photographer from Architectural Digest appeared, asking for a few statements about the renovation process. As I spoke with her, I watched my family's expression shift from shock to something else. A dawning realization that the failure they'd pitied had outmaneuvered them all. Serena? Amy approached as the photographer left. I owe you an apology. Save it, I said, but gently. Just remember this the next time you're tempted to underestimate someone. Everett caught my eye from across the room and held up his phone, mouthing another offer. I nodded, watching Trisha's face as she overheard realtors discussing numbers that made her lake house look like a starter home. Sometimes revenge doesn't scream. Sometimes it just sparkles, like light through restored vintage glass, illuminating exactly who was wrong about whom. The final offer came in as the last guests were leaving. Everett gathered me, Reed, and the winning buyer's agent in the kitchen while my family lingered in the living room, pretending not to eavesdrop. $815,000, Everett announced. All cash, flexible closing date, no contingencies. The number hung in the air like crystal chimes. Even Reed whistled low. I'll need an answer by morning, the buyer's agent said. My clients are prepared to move quickly. Give us a moment, Everett replied, leading me into the butler's pantry. It's 65 over asking, he whispered. What do you think? I peeked through the doorway at my family. Trisha was furiously typing on her phone, probably researching comparable sales. Aunt Georgia was touching the walls like she couldn't believe they were real. Amy was taking photos of the light fixtures I'd restored by hand. Let's do it, I said, but I have one condition. 20 minutes later, I gathered everyone in the living room. Trisha tried to leave, but Derek held her back, curiosity winning over pride. I want to thank you all for coming, I began, standing by the fireplace I'd rebuilt brick by brick. Especially those of you who expressed such concern about my choices these past months. Aunt Georgia shifted uncomfortably. Someone coughed. As you may have heard, I've accepted an offer on the house. $815,000. That's impossible, Trisha burst out. The market can't support. Actually, Everett stepped forward, it can, and it did. The appraisal came in at $790. Your cousin created enough additional value to justify the price. But that's more than double what Leonardo thought it was worth, Amy said. Triple, actually. I smiled. He valued it at $250 when he gave it to me. Called it a financial coffin. Reed snorted. Bet he's regretting that now. Speaking of regrets, I turned to Trisha. Remember when you said I never earned anything in my life? She flushed dark red. Serena, No, please. Let me finish. I pulled a stack of papers from behind the mantel. These are the receipts for every material I bought, every tool I learned to use, every skill I had to master. I dropped them on the coffee table. I earned every penny of this sale, every blister, every sleepless night, every YouTube tutorial at 3 a.m. We get it, Derek said uncomfortably. You proved your point. Not quite. I handed Trisha a business card. This is for when you're ready to sell that lake house. Next time, talk with a bid. The room went deadly quiet. Even Reed looked shocked at my audacity. You think I'd list with you? Trisha's voice shook. After this spectacle? Not with me. With Everett. I gestured to my realtor, who, as of today, is my new business partner in a historic renovation consulting firm. Everett stepped forward, offering his own card. We're specializing in property transformation. Your lake house could benefit from our expertise. Trisha's hand trembled as she took the card. This was your plan all along? No, I said honestly. Originally, I just wanted to prove you wrong. But somewhere between laying tile and rewiring electricity, I discovered I'm actually good at this. Really good. The magazine spread comes out next month, Everett added. We already have clients waiting. One by one, my family members began to leave. Some offered congratulations. Others just nodded awkwardly. Amy hugged me, whispering, I'm so sorry in my ear. Aunt Georgia paused at the door, looking like she wanted to say something, then just shook her head and left. Trisha was the last to go. She stood in the doorway, clutching her designer purse like a shield. I don't understand, she said finally. Why didn't you tell anyone what you were doing? Would you have believed me if I had? She looked away. I suppose not. Exactly. I handed her a brochure for our new business. But now you know better. We all do. After everyone left, Reed helped me collect the empty champagne glasses while Everett made calls to finalize the paperwork. You know they're never going to forgive you for this, Reed said quietly. For what? Succeeding? For succeeding so spectacularly. For proving them all wrong. For turning their pity into envy. I looked around at my masterpiece, at the house that had transformed from coffin to cocoon to crown. Maybe not, I agreed, but I didn't do this for forgiveness. What did you do it for? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Leonardo. Heard about the sale. We should talk. I deleted it without responding. I did it, I said to Reed, because sometimes the only way to show people your worth is to build something so beautiful they can't ignore it. Everett came in, holding up his phone. The buyer's signed. It's official. I touched the wall one last time, feeling the smooth finish under my fingers. Then let's celebrate, to new beginnings. And to old endings, Reed added, raising his glass. I smiled, thinking of Trisha's face when she heard the final price, of Leonardo's deleted text, of all the doubts I turned into determination. To both, I said, but mostly to what we build in between. The moving truck pulled away, leaving me alone in the empty Victorian. My footsteps echoed through the rooms that had become both my battlefield and my victory ground. My phone buzzed. Another message from Trisha. The third this week. Please reconsider. The lake house needs work, and your company's wait list is months long. Family should come first. I deleted it without responding, just like I deleted Leonardo's attempts to reconnect and Aunt Georgia's carefully worded apologies. The doorbell rang. Reed stood on the porch with 2 coffee cups and a knowing smile. Last walkthrough? Something like that. I handed him a key. For the new owners. They close tomorrow. We wandered through the house, our footsteps bouncing off bare walls. Every room held memories. The kitchen where I'd learned to install cabinets. The bathroom where I'd cried over cracked tiles. The bedroom where I'd slept on a mattress surrounded by tools and dreams. Amy called me, Reed said, sipping his coffee. She's worried about you. Because I won't help Trisha? Because you're not returning anyone's calls. She thinks you're isolating yourself. I stopped in the living room, looking out the window I'd restored with my own hands. I'm not isolating. I'm selecting. Meaning, I'm done maintaining relationships built on other people's assumptions about my worth. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Everett. Meeting with potential clients in an hour. That gorgeous Victorian on Pine Street. You ready? I have to go, I told Reed. New project starting. Serena. He caught my arm. Don't let your revenge become your prison. It's not revenge anymore. I gestured around the empty house. This was revenge. What I'm doing now, this is reconstruction. Of houses or relationships? Both. But this time, I'm choosing the foundation. We stepped out onto the porch. A sleek black car pulled up. My new business partner right on time. The magazine article came out this morning, Everett called, waving his phone. We've got 12 new inquiries already. Reed hugged me goodbye. Just don't be a stranger, okay? Some bridges are worth keeping. I watched him drive away, thinking about bridges, about which ones to burn, which to rebuild, which to abandon to time and tide. My phone buzzed yet again. Leonardo, the house looks amazing. You always had potential. Maybe we could discuss things over dinner? Delete. Trisha, the realtor says our lake house could sell for $900K with the right renovations. Please, Serena. I know I was wrong. Delete. Aunt Georgia, the family isn't the same without you at gatherings. We miss you. I paused over this one, remembering Sunday barbecues, holiday dinners, the complex web of family ties that had both supported and strangled me. "Ready?" Everett called from the car. I took one last look at the Victorian. Through the windows, I could see the new owner's interior designer measuring for curtains. Soon, this house would hold another family's stories, while I moved on to create new transformations. "Coming," I called to Everett, then typed a quick response to Aunt Georgia. "I miss you too, but I'm building something new now. When it's ready, I'll invite you to see it. This time, come with open eyes." Send. The ride to our new project was quiet until Everett cleared his throat. "You know, we could help Trisha with the lake house. Could be profitable. It's not about profit anymore." I watched the familiar streets slide by. It's about value, real value. And family isn't valuable? "Family is precious," I corrected. "But like any precious material, it needs to be refined, restored, sometimes stripped down to its bones and rebuilt." We pulled up to the Pine Street Victorian. Like my old house, it was a diamond buried under decades of neglect. The owners waited on the porch, hope bright in their eyes. "Besides," I said, grabbing my tablet with its design software, "I already have a family." "Oh?" "You read. These houses we save. The people who trust us to turn their wrecks into wonders." I stepped out of the car. "I didn't burn my life down. I remodeled it. And some wreckage is better left unsalvaged." The owners waved, eager to show us their property's potential. I walked up their crumbling steps, already seeing past the peeling paint and rotted wood to the beauty waiting to emerge. My phone buzzed one last time. "Read. Love you, sis. Proud of you." Save. Some messages, like some relationships, were worth keeping. The rest? Well, sometimes the strongest structures rise from cleared ground. I tucked my phone away and smiled at the nervous owners. "So," I said, "tell me about your vision for this house, because that's what I do now. I help people build their dreams from the ruins of what was, knowing exactly how it feels to rise from the wreckage, stronger and more beautiful than before."